The Lumber Baron is a unique film. If you're going to give me your elevator pitch, what I like to say, it's an American Downton Abbey meets Undercover Boss. It was this really kind of unique piece, film that I was brought into, showcasing the lumber industry of the Upper Midwest. I think most people, when they think of lumber now, they think of the Pacific Northwest, and this was arguably bigger than that at the time. And so they came to me and said, hey, let's make a movie about this forgotten era, about America that nobody thinks about in flyover country. And I said, how fast can we make it? So when the producer first contacted me, asked me if I wanted to direct this film, and I said, what's it about? And like, oh, it's about the lumber business in the Upper Midwest. And by the way, it's a period piece in 1910. And oh, by the way, it's a low budget feature. And oh, by the way, we have 70 characters. And oh, by the way, there's horses, and we're gonna chop down trees, and we're gonna have all this stuff. And I'm like, okay. So I had to step back for a moment. Every time you get a call, you're flattered they want you to work on it, but then I had to think, is this something we can actually execute in a way that works? And what I loved is the producer of the film, Karen Hurd. This was her first production. And there's something, a lot of times when you start in the independent world, you kind of feel like you're always the newcomer, you're always figuring it out. But this was one of those times where I was more the expert. And going into it, we kept having these production meetings, and I'd be like, okay, now I don't think you understand, when we set up a scene and we knock a tree over, then we can't reset. It's not like we rebuild the set, a mile over and then we recut down the trees. So we were trying to figure out how to make all this work, and she kept telling me, it's fine, it'll work. And I'm like, well, do we have people that know how to do it the old-fashioned way? And by the time we got there, everything, this is the compliment to the producer, everything that she promised was there. And one of the big concerns I had is safety. On a smaller film like this, it's kind of like you're winging it by the seat of your pants. As you saw, we did it in 3 different seasons, so you had everything from snow to heat and all this. And the lumberjacks would come out and they would kind of look where the actors were, and I'd talk to the actors, and all the actors like, you're doing this in post. I don't want to be anywhere by the tree. And they would kind of mark on the ground. They said the tree's going to land here and this will be that. And they would lay it down, and it was within less than an inch of where they said it was going to fall every time. It was just incredible. So it was kind of one of those things where logistically what we accomplished shouldn't be possible, but yet somehow, in the creative world, somehow we willed it into existence. So we're excited for people to see it. See, this is what's interesting, is when I was originally hired on the film, they were planning on making it all local to, the region there in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and Chippewa Falls. And they were doing it, what I loved about the producers is they were trying to make it kind of, the favored nation status. Everyone's getting paid so little that it almost didn't make sense. And so what I did is I pitched them on saying, let's kind of categorize the different characters and who we need, and try to take what little money we had and rearrange it in such a way where I thought that we could entice the best available talent, and then also pitch them on the project saying, hey, even though we still can't pay you enough, are you interested in this? And so I had some relationships with some of the actors that I call people like Sam Landman. I've worked with many times. Charles Hubble I've worked with before. The first person I actually cast was Anna Strands. And the reason that I cast her is when I was okay with myself taking the film, I was concerned about her character, because the way it was written, and I was concerned the way people would view it, is this is just an annoying, spoiled, female character would just come off at the end that you would be like, well, I don't care what happens to her. And I had a meeting with her, and I said, my goal is for your characters, if we can pull it off in such a way where at the end of it, the audience kind of almost feels something for you, where they're not like, well, she got her just desserts or whatever. And we sat down and talked through that, and she's like, I can do it. And I said, well, that's fine. Here's how much money I have. And she says, I'll do it. I'm like, great. So that was the first person we cast, but it was just, I think the old adage that, talent begets talent, as we started to cast, and the way that I would see the character and I would describe it to them, and or they read the script and come back and talk to me about something, we just found the people that I think were, could jump into a role and bring it to life, and we think that happened, so we're very happy. One of my favorite stories, I'm a big fan of the second version of the 10 Commandments that Cecil B. DeMille made, and one of my favorite actors, and I'm going to forget his name that I'm doing this interview, Edward G. Robinson was in that. And I remember reading his autobiography, Cecil B. DeMille's, and he would come home every night to his wife, and he's like, I don't get what Edward G. Robinson's doing. And his wife's like, well, you're Cecil B. DeMille, just tell him what you want him to do. He's like, it's Edward G. Robinson. I don't tell Edward G. Robinson what to do. So he said he went through it, and when he edited it together, there was the performance. He said he didn't see it on set, but he just trusted the actor. And it was a similar instance with Andrew, because we had talked about the character, but it was kind of, the character's position in the story is kind of in a no man's land. He's kind of like this in-between stuff. And so the first day I was kind of watching what he's doing, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, well, should I give him notes? But I'm like, I don't really know what to tell him, and I'm kind of assessing, like, well, do I like it? Do I not like it? Is this going to work? Because you got 70 characters coming in as a director the first time you work with any of them. You're like, how's that going to go with this and that? And as we put it together, he's one of my favorite performances in the movie, just because it's not too big, it's not too small, and he allows the moments to be there. And it was kind of fun watching an actor that, I wasn't fighting or being overly suggestive. I was just letting that process come through the actor, and I think he did a great job. So when I got the email from Twin Cities Film Fest that the Lumber Baron's been accepted, you first get very excited, because when we make art, when you make a project, the most important thing is you want someone to see it and be able to enjoy or hate or comment on what we do. The worst thing in the world is making something and then it goes and doesn't have an audience. So I was excited to have an audience. I was also secondarily happy that it's close enough to where we made it that I think it's going to give it, everybody thinks about the actors, the director, the producer, that sort of stuff, but we had so many people on the budget we had, and just the scale of what we pulled off. There is like layers of these people aren't thanked, these people aren't thanked, these people aren't thanked, these people aren't thanked, and we couldn't have made it without all of them. So I'm excited to have them be able to see it in an avenue where it's going to be probably a sold-out theater. There's going to be an excitement to it. So I think it's just that you're allowing us to, it's like what we hope and dream when you kind of have this germ of an idea and it's coming to fruition, and we're really excited for it.